Good evening, folks. We'd like to welcome you to this council meeting for the City of Allgood, Tennessee. Today is Tuesday, August 14th, 2018. I will call this meeting to order. Mrs. Flatt, would you do a roll call, please?
Honorable Mayor Dyer.
Present.
Honorable Vice Mayor Norris.
Present.
Honorable Councilman Bilbrey.
Present.
Honorable Councilman Grant.
Present.
Honorable Councilman Hill.
Present.
This time I'd ask you to stand. Mr. Morrison will lead us in a prayer.
If you would, bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings of life, Lord. We thank you for the opportunities you grant us each day. We pray your blessings upon this council as they make the decisions that affect the citizens of this town. We thank you, Lord, for watching over our employees each day, and pray that you continue to protect them and watch after them as they are out working on the street and doing things that put them in harm's way at times. We pray for our citizens, Lord, for those that are weak in health and facing sickness or death and pain, that you would just reach down and comfort them, Lord, and be with them in their time of need, and they would turn to you. Lord, we pray for those that are lost, that you would save them before it's everlasting too late, and they turn to you. We pray that you would continue to guide us and lead us, and that we would heed to that guidance and go the direction you'd have us to go. It's in your name we ask these many things. Amen.
Captain Swallows, will you lead our pledge, please?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. The first item is to consider this agenda and minutes as it's presented.
I'll make a
Does
motion.
anybody have any questions or comments on the agenda as it sets forth? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion
I'll second.
and a second on the floor. Mrs. Flatt, please.
Mayor Dyer.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Honorable Bilbrey.
Yes.
Honorable Grant.
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
Item number 2 is to consider approval of the minutes of our previous council meeting held on July 10, 2018. And each one has a copy of the minutes from that last meeting. Any corrections or updates on that we need to change?
Look good to me.
I'll make a motion.
A motion on the floor
I'll second.
and a second. Mrs. Flatt, please.
Mayor Dyer.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Honorable Bilbrey.
Yes.
Honorable Grant.
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
I'm going to abstain. I was absent. Promise it won't happen. Thank you.
Under our new business portion tonight, we have several items to consider. The first one is to approve to suspend the reading of Resolution 323-18 and 324-18.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Mrs. Flatt, please.
Mayor Dyer.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Honorable Bilbrey.
Yes.
Honorable Grant.
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
Item number 4 is to consider approval to surplus the 2 Kawasaki diesel dirt bikes that we got from the LISO program. I'll ask Chief Armour to speak to this. Would you please, sir?
Yes, sir. These are 2 dirt bikes that were obtained for free through the LISO program and were transferred to us by the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy. They are not serviceable for our needs. They were originally obtained so that we could use them on the rail trail. They're up and running. They are specially designed bikes that are collector's items. That money, with y'all's approval, will service them through gov deals. There's our auction process. That money will go back into the drug fund. And where it'll stay, so it's actually a plus for us because it costs us nothing to start.
Any question or comment from the council on this?
How much do you anticipate?
Just looking at what's going on right now, between 10 and 15,000, if we get in between that each would be great.
Per?
Per.
Wow.
There are some specialty collector's bikes. I think they were like reconnaissance motorcycles, but they're so loud, I don't know how they could use them. Maybe one that was serviceable first.
Any other question or comment? I'll move approval on this.
Second.
Motion and second on the floor. Mrs. Flatt?
Mayor Dyer,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris,
Yes.
Honorable Bilbrey,
Yes.
Honorable Grant,
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
Item number 5 is to consider the approval to purchase from state surplus vehicles not to exceed the budgeted amount of what we have listed. Mr. Morrison, please.
The chief and I made a visit to State Surplus recently. Several years ago, when we started fleet management plan with the police cars, the state didn't have any vehicles available that fit our needs, fit prices. We felt comparable, and we thought the newer cars at that time was the better price. We've since visited and found out they are getting state surplus Tahoes, Explorers, vehicles of this nature, SUV, already outfitted with lights, already fitted with cages. Pretty much all they have to do is come back and strap them up, put some gas in them, and put them on the road. Those vehicles are running somewhere around the $12,000 to $15,000 mark, with anywhere from 50 to 100,000 miles, depending on the price and the age of the vehicle. I spoke with Albert Baker at State Surplus this morning and yesterday. He currently has 2 Ford F-250 4x4s. Both of those, one has 83,000 miles, one has 72,000 miles. They are 4-door crew cab, 4-wheel drive. They have the camper on them. They have locks and storage boxes in the back. I've shared some pictures with the council. The seats are in really good condition. The mileage is good, and the price on those would be $14,000 and $14,500. This could be a potential to get vehicles for Victor. Both trucks would work in Public Works. The one caveat to the use of those two vehicles is they were K9 units, so the back seat has been modified for a K9 cage. To use them for Public Works, we would have to put the seat back in probably, or we could use it for tool storage and things of that nature. However, at that price, we think those two vehicles would be very usable and offers a good opportunity for us. We originally budgeted $30,000 in Victor's budget, $30,000 in my budget, and $60,000 in the police budget to do vehicles. So depending on what direction you all want to go and how many you want me to try to get, will determine what we can do and what kind of vehicles we can acquire.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the council?
Chief Farmer, what's your opinion on the trucks
On the trucks,
or the SUVs? I'm sorry.
one of the things that I was looking at when I first got here back in February was something that we could reach out better for the community as far as assistance. The current Chargers we have a very limited trunk space. Matter of fact, we don't carry spare tires on them, so we can carry equipment. The SUVs would be used by supervisors, and we'd be able to carry more medical equipment, cones, stuff like that we need on the scene. We don't have to stop, go back and find some way to get it transported. So it'd be a better response vehicle for the community. The price on it is about half. We're looking at, don't quote me, but it's like $23,000 to buy a Charger, and by the time we put $7,000 or $8,000 worth of equipment into it for one unit, these things right here would hold up a little bit better. They're 4-wheel drive, we'll be able to use them in the wintertime. We are getting back involved in the LISO program. We talked about the dirt bikes a while ago. We'd be able to go somewhere and pull the trailer back if we needed to, if we were able to pick up some of this equipment. If somebody's got a question about the LISO program, I think Keith or myself will probably enlighten some people about it, what it entails. Also,
I might also add too that the SUVs that we're speaking of are from the federal level, and they're trickling down to the state. These are not what's been used in the state of Tennessee. These are federal vehicles. So just wanted to make that point, make that note. Councilman Hill?
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand. So there's 2 F-250s that we're going to purchase out of Keith and Victor's fund, that the budgeted funds that were set aside for new vehicles. And then there's a second that you've got $60,000 in your budget that you're going to be looking to this fund to purchase. You're going to try to get 4.
SUVs.
for SUVs that will you anticipate selling for around 15, and that they're ready to roll. So we're talking 6 new vehicles. Well, not new, excuse me.
Right.
6 used vehicles, 2 for
Public Works.
Public Works, 4 for the police. So what happens? Okay, so I assume everyone has a car now, correct?
We keep one spare car for accidents or maintenance right now. So if we would push down and get rid of as many of the other cars as we could, if we buy these 4, we'll push them down and keep the best cars in the fleet and sell off the others.
Okay, so when you say you're pushing them down, some vehicles will be sold here in upcoming months?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're not gonna have an overage of vehicles, I guess is my question, is we're replacing cars with these SUVs. Supervisors get the SUVs, and then we'll eventually sell 4 vehicles there. And then, so what happens to the 2 vehicles that Keith and Victor currently have?
The vehicles that we have, Public Works currently, we've surplused that old service truck a few months ago. The one that we mentioned, the floorboard was out in, and Fred Flintstone has to stop it. So that one's already been surplused and is unusable. We currently have a Trailblazer that was Victor's years ago that we've continued to maintain that continues to be problems. I think the dashboard is acting up again. Is that right, Director Jones? And so we've used the black Impala car that we had left over to meter read and things. So we're trying to get some more of those vehicles built up because the Public Works Department's short on trucks right now. A couple of years ago, we bought 2 Chevrolet trucks from State Surplus before they quit doing those.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Myself and several other people are having a really hard time hearing y'all. Do you have your microphones on?
Yeah, they're on. They may just not be turned up enough.
That sounds better.
Okay.
Testing.
We bought 2 trucks, probably 3-4 years ago from State Surplus. One of those trucks at the time we purchased it had 190,000 miles on it. The other truck had 120,000 miles. We got pretty lucky on those 2. They've both been good trucks, have required very little maintenance. But again, they're getting to that condition where they're going to start costing money. One of the Ford trucks we were using when I came here, the 4-wheel drive shaft was bent out. The clutch was falling out of it. I mean, the truck was in very poor condition. The 2 Dodge Dakotas we had at that time were in poor condition. We've gradually replaced those. We replaced Carl's truck last year with a used truck, which again, it was a used truck. We ended up having to put a new engine in it because the engine burnt out on it, even with 40,000 miles. So we're trying to get these trucks built back up. We're still using Carl's old service truck as a backup. It falls in for other things, and that way if it breaks down, it's not a major catastrophe if it's sitting in the shop, unlike Carl's, which has all the equipment and a lot of the water and sewer parts and things that we need on the street all the time. And so we'll probably have 1 or 2 more vehicles we'll have to sell just because they're beyond their useful life, which is still going to leave us a little bit short, but we're getting closer to having better cars to where we should be, to a point soon that we can start selling off cars that have value left from Public Works instead of cars that are so far gone they're almost scrap metal. And one prime example of that would be this past fiscal year we purchased a new commercial garbage truck. That new commercial garbage truck was $299,000. One of the caveats to that new commercial truck that it has the capability of the Corrado can, which allows us to do residential trash as well as commercial trash. It will do both routes in the event we needed it to. It's a little too big for some of the side streets on residential, but it will do a lot of the main thoroughfares and keep the employees safe, and it gives us that backup if we need it. The old commercial truck was a 2008 Mack commercial truck. The anticipated value when we sold that, we were expecting somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000. The city netted $62,000 on the sale of that truck on GovDeals. They came to pick it up and couldn't get it to run enough to take it back. Ended up having to tow it the second day and still took it for that price. So I think that was a very positive return for us, and that's where we want to get with all of the equipment. That when we get rid of it, we have some value to return and save us money on its replacement, instead of using it to the beyond its useful life and just breaking it down to the point there's nothing left in the vehicle.
thus the fleet maintenance program.
Keith, are these gas or diesel?
Albert never did answer that, and he had a conference call right after I talked to him, and he barely got me the pictures, so I never got that final answer. I also never got a picture of what the back seat looked like. Chief had talked about possibly one of these trucks being able to be used in the police department to go get LISO equipment and to give to our fleet maintenance guy, that he could haul some tools and things of that nature, and one of them go to Victor. But we'll figure that out once we look at them, make sure they're usable. If they were to both go to Victor, the assumption would be they're both going to need back seats. So the K9 cage would have to come out, and we'll go find a back seat somewhere at a junkyard. They do have the slide-out trays, lockbox vaults in the bed already in them under the camper. So those are already built into the trucks. One of the trucks obviously already has the light bar, is probably blue because they were K9 units. The other one doesn't appear to have a light bar. They both have laptop stands in them and probably some other emergency equipment that we could transfer and use. So these trucks we do believe have some pretty good value in them for that price, and wasn't an option several years ago. So they've started picking up some federal surplus vehicles that have give us some more options now than what we've had in the past.
And Keith, to be fair, or just to reiterate, this $120,000 that we were talking about is already budgeted money
It
that
is.
we are going to use for.
The original intent was you're for a new vehicle you're looking at about $30,000 a piece. We put $30,000 in my budget, $30,000 in Victor's budget, with the intent of replacing those with 2 new cars and dropping both of our trucks to Public Works to continue to develop better vehicles in Public Works. And we put $60,000 in the police budget with the original intent of buying 2 vehicles. We currently have 1 extra. You all had approved an additional officer, which would take that vehicle, and so the 2 would have give us the 1 rotating car again to do maintenance with. With this option, it would allow us to do more cars, and we should be able to get rid of some of the older Dodges that we've had a little bit longer and rotate the stock a little bit quicker.
Chief, your SUVs, he's, excuse me, Keith's done a good amount of research on his. Any idea on how many miles are left on these SUVs that you're referring to?
There's some coming in from transit, from out of state. We're waiting on them to get here so we can look at them. We don't have that information yet.
Okay. So basically, as I understand, what we're voting on here is just to kind of give a not to exceed number and give you all the authority to go out and use best judgment on purchasing a few new vehicles.
That's what we have to do.
Vehicles.
With state surplus, I don't have to bid it because we're purchasing from the state under a used vehicle. You all just give me a cap, and we go down and try to get the very best vehicle we can in the most economical way. If it's 1 or 2, whatever we can get. The anticipation was that these SUVs would be in the $12,000 to $15,000 range with roughly 50 to 70,000 miles. And those are fully equipped. They're light bars, they're cages, the whole 9 yards. So what we do is come back, put about $400 or $500 to letter them, put our logos on them, and then they're road ready.
How many miles you guys got, Victor? How many you got right now on yours?
On mine right now?
Yeah.
15. The truck I drive right now is 15,000.
No, I mean, how many? The ones that we're parting ways with.
All the ones we're parting ways with.
300.
200,000.
A lot of them are
So I mean,
200,000.
the way I look at it is, when you're buying a used vehicle, you look to see how many you can expect. How much you're spending for how many more miles you can get out of it. And I mean, it seems like a good deal to me. But
Any other question or comment? I'll make a motion to allow the purchase from state surplus vehicles not to exceed the budgeted amount in each department. That would be $30,000 in admin, $30,000 in public works, and $60,000 in the police department.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and second on the floor. Mrs. Flatt?
Mayor Dyer,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Honorable Bilbrey,
Yes.
Honorable Grant,
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
yes.
Item number 6 is to consider the approval of Resolution 323-18, which we suspended the reading of earlier in the meeting. And this is to participate in the state of Tennessee's 401k defined contribution plan. Mr. Morrison?
The current retirement plan we have is maintained by agent at Woodman World. It is through Principal. The plan is a money purchase plan the city's had since probably the 80s, I think, when it was initially started. The plan is a dinosaur plan, so to speak. Money purchase plans don't exist anymore. Last year we received notice from Principal that they would no longer maintain our plan document, which means to continue to keep this plan, we would have to hire someone else to maintain the plan document, which means additional costs to the city and the employees. So we began reviewing options. We looked through our agent at some private options, and then we came across TCRS, and I made some phone calls, and the gentleman showed up, and we've went through this program. It's a state program, so it doesn't require the bidding process. It's monitored under the state, run through the state, and would be part of the state retirement. It does not change the city's cost in any way. We are already budgeted for this change. It wouldn't be any additional cost for us to change. However, the fees that are assessed on the employees and their retirement would be substantially less than what they are through the Principal account. It also relieves the city council of a liability that was placed on them when the plan was initiated as being the people in charge of the plan. That liability will shift to the state and the employees, because the employees will have more control over their retirement each on their own, whereas now they're automatically enrolled in the safest possible level of investment out there, and they have no option to change it and no option to add any additional contribution out of their own check. With the state's 401k, that will not be the case. The state will be maintaining the plan and keeping up with it. They will either annually or biannually come in and meet with the employees and educate them on their retirement, where they're at, where they should be, what they can do, and how much they can contribute to make their retirement better, as well as give the employees options to what level of risk they are at. The employees can go safe or riskier based on where they feel they're at for retirement and when they'll be ready for retirement. Or they can choose an automatic option that's a retirement ready date, that once you set that date, the plan automatically adjusts the risk based on your anticipated retirement date. So we feel this is just a better option all the way around. Again, there's no additional cost to the city. It'll be the same as what we're paying now. Each employee will be eligible to roll their current money from Principal to this plan, and it will be maintained through the state. Part of the original talk was to look at the defined benefit portion, which takes longer to decide how you administer that and how best it fits the city and what the city wants to do with it. So the state's first recommendation was to initiate the 401k and 457B plans, which we can automatically go ahead and start operating out of, which also helps us with the fact that Principal's plan document expires next month, and we can get rolled out of that and start working in this new TCRS 401k plan while we decide if the defined benefit portion is something to look at. And this will get us rolling, get things fixed, and allow us that time to look at the defined benefit and figure out how best to apply that and what works best for the city and the employees.
I know we've had 2 to 3 meetings with a gentleman from the Department of Treasury with the state of Tennessee regarding this. I believe Chief Armour was in attendance, Mr. Jones was in attendance, and this seemed to me personally as to be in the best interest of the employees, without the added benefit or added cost to the city, and removing us as the proprietors, if you will, of this plan. It also affords the employee a say-so in how their money is invested going forward, which is the way it should have always been to start with. But that's one of the main goals that I was hoping to achieve personally, was to make sure that they were taking care of not only the new employees, but the employees who have been in service for a long time or maybe have gotten away from the TCRS plan when they worked at a previous state job, they're still afforded some sort of retirement plan through the city of Allgood. So it helps all employees, whether new or old, and I thought that was very, very important.
Would also make mention that Putnam County recently switched over to TCRS in these plans, as well as Cookeville is in the process of doing the same thing we're doing. The plan administrator was here last night. The representative also made the comment that the majority of the municipalities in Tennessee were switching to this because the state runs it, maintains it, and ensures that it's a healthy plan and it runs well.
Any question or comment from the council?
I'd point out to you that the fees are across the board. So what the fees of our employees will be administered are the same as everyone else's. I think that's a big benefit, and my only question was, just to clarify, the vesting for people who are rolling over, how does that work just for record purposes?
What the TCRS representative said is the employees that are currently here would be vested just like they are now. So if they're at 3 years, they would remain at 3 years. If they're at 5 years, they'll remain at 5 years. So whatever their current level of service is will roll over into the new plan, as well as being able to roll over the money they currently have in their retirement will roll over to this plan as well.
Any other question or comment?
I would note, currently employees cannot make any additional contribution to the plan they have. So this will allow the employees to take some of their check and add to their contribution.
So it removes our liability, lower fees and penalties, gives the employees more opportunities and more choices in their future,
Right.
and they have free education.
The other thing too, the portion the employee pays is immediate vesting. So anything the employee pays is automatically they're vested on that dollar amount.
So
It's
they don't
it's
lose
theirs
any
from day
money.
one. Yep. And they can carry that over wherever they go.
And if we do nothing, if we don't do this, because of what the current plan is doing, what would be the option then?
We will have to hire an outside contractor to maintain the plan and pay additional fees.
So basically just shop it around, get something on the open market.
Yeah,
retirement plan on the open market.
we'd have to go through a bidding process and go to market values. Where here you're dealing with state values that are already bid and taken care of.
I was just going to say that what you'd go shop for is somebody to administer the plan that just manages how the record keeping is done and the 1099s and things like that. It wouldn't change the investment. That still would be at principle. Its principle is just abandoning the plan document and the regulatory framework, but they still want to keep your money in this ancient dinosaur plan that it sounds like everybody wants to be rid of anyway. So, yeah.
Anyone else? I'll move approval of this resolution.
Second.
Have a motion and second on the floor. Mrs. Flatt?
Mayor Dyer,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Honorable Bilbrey,
Yes.
Honorable Grant,
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
Item number 7 is to consider approval of Resolution 324-18, as was recently suspended of the full reading earlier, to participate in the state of Tennessee's 457 Deferred Compensation Plan. Mr. Morrison?
Again, this is a state administered plan. It's an additional option that they want to allow the employees, all cities who adopt the state retirement 401k, also in conjunction adopt a 457B plan. The difference in these two, from my understanding, was the 401k, you have to reach retirement age to start drawing it out. The 457B, you just have to reach termination in your service. So if something was to happen medically, you could start drawing out of the 457B. It's just an additional option for the employees. These are always accepted together. So if you take the 401k, you also go ahead and administer the 457B. Both plans are run through the state. They will maintain all the fees just as before. It's just a second option for the employees to invest their own money into that meets that other requirement at the federal level.
Questions or comments?
So the city's contribution will go into the 401k, and then we just open this opportunity for the employee if they want to make an additional contribution, right?
That's correct. And one of the caveats to that is in the addition, if an employee ever transfers here who already has a 457B, they can transfer into another 457B. Or if they want to transfer the money they currently have with principal to a 457B, that may be an option as well.
Anyone else?
I'll make a motion to
I have a
approve.
motion
I'll second.
and a second on the floor. Mrs. Flatt?
Mayor Dyer,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris,
Yes.
Honorable Bilberry,
Yes.
Honorable Grant,
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
Item number 8 is consider approval to award the Main Street paving bid to Rogers Group in the amount of $382,445. This paving project would encompass from the city limits at Burton Branch Road through the light at Walmart and down just past Sonic, which would include all of the milling work, the repaving, putting new loops in for the lights, striping, and that striping also would extend the entire length of Main Street from west to east. Any comments or questions?
Striping will be thermoplastic, which is reflective in a higher grade striping, so it will last longer. Also, last night, Councilman Hill asked the engineer to run some numbers to see, since there's only one bidder. Currently, you're looking at per ton for grade A pavement, $88.25. For grade BM, $90.25, and for grade E, $92 per ton. Engineer run a quick breakdown based on TDOT. So 2017 averages D mix similar to E. The Region 2 average was 91.29 a ton. State average 84.39 a ton. BM mix, the Region 2 average 71.77. State average 68.21. A mix, Region 2 average 71.77. State average $74.70. June 2018 bid results. These are average prices across all bids for each mix in June, with the lowest price out to the right. A D mix, which is similar to E, the high price $163.80 a ton. The lowest bid price $93.02 a ton. And we didn't have any D. Our E mix is $92, so $1.02 cheaper. For BM mix, the average price bid $180.26 a ton, with the lowest bid price at $98.27 a ton. Our price $90.25 a ton. A mix, the highest price, the average bid price $141.96 a ton, with the lowest bid price being $96.78 a ton. Our bid price for A is $88.25 a ton. The engineers also stated that he believed the 2017 averages applied to tonnage to the totals. Basically, lower quantities typically cost a lot more than larger quantities. June averages are just prices versus the number of jobs it was on, so perhaps a weighted average would be less. But he did pick out one job where the topping was 7,860 tons of mix, and the price was $109 per ton, also higher than our prices. The pricing difference from year to year has jumped a lot. Oil has gone up significantly, and a couple of that with the current workload out there, you can see why prices have gone up also. He would also note that the lowest bid prices from June of this year are all higher than the respective grade mix of our project.
Keith, at this time, what do we have from our state street aid that would be applied to this?
Currently in the budget and state street aid, we budgeted $330,000. That was my early estimate of the cost, just based on where I kind of felt like we needed to land. We added a little bit of length to the project. We also added thermoplastic for the entire length of Main Street from 111 to 111. And then we additionally added $100,000 in general fund for paving, which gives us a total for paving of $430,000. It was also the anticipation of the contractor that in the bid amount of $382,445 that the engineer's estimate of quantities were a little high in some of the locations, and that would additionally save us some money, so they didn't feel like the $382,000 would be exhausted. However, it was noted that that is the estimate. In the event something did go over, the tonnage prices are individually noted in the bid spec sheet, so we have a breakdown of what it would cost in the event something went over. One of the things that will be looked at in addition is at Walmart. It will be a higher grade pavement for the heavy truck traffic. It's probably not noticed if you drive into the Dollar Tree and around Fast Pace. There are sections of that parking lot that are considered heavy grade asphalt, which have a higher tar content and a better tack quality and hold together better under heavy traffic. And then the other part of the parking lot is just regular pavement. You don't know the difference, but if you'll look at where the trucks have went in there, they've had no effect on the parking lot. So the overall withstanding of the truck traffic has worked on that heavy grade pavement. So that is our intent for that Walmart intersection, to get the rub board out and prevent that from happening again, is to upgrade to this heavy grade mix and apply it through the whole intersection and put new loops in, and that's part of the reason we're grinding it out.
I might also add that with the budgeted amount of dollars from State Street Aid, as well as what was added into the budget, the extra 100,000, there are other projects that we would like to attack, and I think that's a pretty good term considering the shape that some of these roads are in. Mill Street is definitely going to be looked at very, very hard. Some drainage issues that Mr. Jones has identified, and possibly being able to do some paving work in that area. And also Elm Street. But anyway, just wanted to let everybody know that there are other projects on the horizon for these dollars, and it was budgeted that way for a reason. So with that, I'll ask any questions or comments from the council.
I'll just add, hey, thank you for getting that information. You know, I think part of our fiduciary duties is to make sure that these, I mean, I have no idea what grade E hot mix rate goes for. You know, none of us have the expertise to be able to say that these numbers are appropriate. I mean, it's a big number. Let's not be fooled by that. I mean, so we don't know if this is appropriate or not. So I appreciate you doing some diligence as to reaching out. That I just asked Victor, look over what what we're benchmarking this against, and make sure that you're comfortable with it. My other thing, okay, so big number. Is this a must this year, or what happens if we push it back a year?
Everybody's traveled Main Street. It's a washboard down there. Manholes are digging up where the pavement just went down. It's just a hazard down there.
Is that what's wrong with the end of Elm Street? It's gone.
Yeah, they're gonna take care of it, and when they pave it, that's gonna be taken care of too.
I would also add too, I like to save money, and especially the city's money, because I'm a taxpayer too. But the longer we wait, the more chance of those prices going up even further. And I just wanted to throw that out there for thought.
So just so we're going all the way from 111 for the repaving, all the way from 111 over to how far back? How far down?
Actually, it begins at the Burton Branch Road at the city limits, and will go through the intersection just past Sonic over the hill.
Okay.
It's actually
Thompson Lane. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. You are correct. My mistake.
At Thompson Lane, in front of Liberty Auto Sales, there's a section of Main Street that's kind of fell in over the years where there's a tile in there. The paving will extend just beyond that, grinding it out, and then we'll smooth back in and take that out. It will also take out the entrance to Elm Street that's sinking in, and grind it out and correct that and bring it back to level, as well as taking the washboards out of the Walmart intersection and redoing all the loops.
How long are we talking? And when is this? This is a night project, so I suppose.
It'll be all done at night to avoid any traffic delays during the day. They will maintain, in sections where there are more than 2 lanes, they will try to maintain 2 lanes at all times. When you get farther down past Sonic, it will have to be down to 1 lane at night. The estimated completion was just 2 to 4 weeks, but I think they have 60 days to complete it. The other deadline is that I think by November 15th it has to be completed because thermoplastic and this high-grade pave with the tar loses its tackiness due to weather, especially at night with the cool downs. But it has to be done at night because of traffic at Walmart and through that intersection. So the anticipation is 2 to 4 weeks.
And the sooner they can start right now, the better.
I'm sorry, another question. So given that it's at night, would not imagine that there would be much business interruption. But are we undertaking efforts to notify these businesses that this is going to be happening?
We'll release a public statement. Of course, the paper's advertised it a few times, so we'll make sure everybody knows what time the paving starts, what time the paving is ending. We'll have it on the website, on Facebook. We'll advertise it in the paper. We'll try to go by and talk to all the businesses.
Fantastic.
One of our major intents with paving at night was to prevent any interruption of business. So that is specifically why we went with nighttime paving. Also not to interfere with daytime traffic, school traffic, and things of that nature, which already have enough problems to try to avoid. So,
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other question or comment? I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Motion and second on the floor. Mrs. Flatt?
Mayor Dyer,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris,
Yes.
Honorable Bilbrey,
Yes.
Honorable Grant,
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
This brings us to our city administrator's report. Mr. Morrison?
Fire hall project, the foundation's been poured and curing. The construction company for the building was a subcontractor. The equipment arrived Friday while we were doing a site walk at the construction site. They were here yesterday separating and arranging parts and getting those lined up. They had to leave today for something. We'll be back, tomorrow. Anticipated time frame for the erection of the metal building is about 3 weeks. So they have cut some time off the project and pretty much got back in line with the deadline, the anticipated completion being December of 18. The park grant is awaiting further direction. We have spoken with the health department state through UCDD. The park grant will be bid through a qualification-based process so that you get the best qualified designer for the project. Then once that has been determined who has the best qualifications to design the project, then we'll sit down and work with them on the price and negotiate the price through that process, which will be completely monitored and helped by UCDD. And of course the state will make sure that it's a fair bidding process and meets all the bidding requirements as well. The water sewer project, we're finalizing easements. We've gained 2 more easements in the last month, made contact with the last 3, and are working through details with them. Met with one of them in the last 2 weeks, also give them some additional paperwork, and they were speaking with the engineer. So we hope to have those wrapped up. All of the paperwork has been turned over to the rural development, and the loan is ready, and we're ready to go. So we should be out to bid soon and moving forward with that project. The farmers market, you all met with additional designs last night. We'll be going out to bid with the final design. Part of that would have the construction of the building hopefully completed before winter. As the engineer said last night, with paving and the construction completed that late, paving has to be last, so it may have to wait till spring. But that project was looking much better, and we also have some rough drawn pictures that if anybody wants to see what the farmers market could potentially look like, we have those available. Department heads, do you have anything?
Chief, I would ask if you wouldn't mind, sir, would you let the audience know how the new telemetry has served the department just recently?
Stand so if I can hear me. Council approved through Verizon for us to put basically a tracking device on all police vehicles. That gives us maintenance information, speed control, stuff like this. We had a very unfortunate accident recently. A 17-year-old on a cell phone ran out in the middle of traffic, ran across 2 lanes of traffic, and one of the patrol cars hit him. I are discussing, because of some issues with that software, we can go in and pay a little additional money, that'll come out of the police department's budget to upgrade that system for more pings, faster pings. Right now, it's like 2-minute pings, we can go down to 30 seconds. And we're discussing that right now with Verizon. I think it's something that will not only protect the police department, but protect the citizens and also the city itself.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Might also give a kudos to Victor and the Public Works Department laying that pipe as fast as you can to get ahead of the sidewalk. I know we're not pouring concrete, but you guys are way ahead of the game. You're doing a really good job with it, and thank you. At this time, this council will hear citizens and or delegations. If you have a question or comment, please step to the microphone and state your name and address.
Name is Richard Wood, address 343 Brookside Drive. About 2 years ago, I noticed that the employees of the city, their retirement system that they had here was absolutely deplorable. I came up here, voiced my opinions about that. I know a few of you on the council. I have pinged on you a few times. Needless to say, I am very thankful that you folks have finally done something for our employees, because they are our employees, and I want them well taken care of, because there's many jobs that they'll do people don't know about. I can tell you, Victor came down to my place one time. I had some issues that he took care of. It's like, you don't have to pick up the phone and call them. You just tell them, look, I got an issue. They'll show up, they'll get it done. So I want to thank you guys for taking care of our employees. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Would anyone else like to take the opportunity to speak or ask a question? Well, it's 2 for 2.
It's 2 for 2. What are your plans for Elm Street, Victor?
Well, we're hoping in this project, that if we have any money left over, we can get it paid. What do you want to do? Sidewalk?
No. Stay out of town. I do have a concern for my neighbor, Janie and Donnie Gatz. For health reasons, they cannot come. He's on oxygen, and you're aware of that. But their ditch line that goes in front of the house, have you looked at it?
Yeah.
What?
Some tile, some culverts and stuff like that. But,
What happens if that road falls in their yard? That's all I'm asking. Is it capable of doing that?
no, it's pretty good. It's a good road. It's got a good base up on it. And I've been here for 39 years, and it's not failing yet.
Yeah, it has at the end of the street.
And I've seen that street in bad shape.
Okay, if you're just gonna pave it, are you gonna put lines in it up for, like, there is certain parts of that street that doesn't have street lights, or if they do, they blink and then they come back on.
Right.
Is there plans for that?
We can go ahead and do that. I wasn't aware. Are there some that are out down through there?
They're not out.
There's blinking. Well, they're going out.
They're going out.
You
That's
drive
what that
by
means.
and it'll go out, and you come back through, and it'll come back on.
Yeah.
Do you know which ones they are?
It's down around, across the street from Doris. It would be at Mr. Holt's house.
Okay.
Don Holt's house.
All right. We'll find them and get them turned in. Upper Cumming will fix them. So that'll be easy.
Sure.
I mean, if you drive by, it'll just go out.
Anytime that if I have a street light in front of their house, they don't, all they have to do is call City Hall.
And then it's real dark from it's not that. I know it is the Miss Eldridge's residence, Sue Eldridge's. If you'll come over at night, if it wasn't for our street light that we have, you really couldn't see over in Janie and Donnie's yard or Miss Eldridge's yard, but from there to Arnold Eldridge's is dark.
I think that's where Upper Cumberland's poles leave the street. We have to have a pole location at the street to put a light on it. So I think those poles cut back through the yard back there behind the Eldridge house, don't they? Sue Eldridge's house, I believe.
Yes, they
And I
have
think-
to pay for that pole.
Yeah, I think.
But that we don't know what they're gonna do with the other property. We don't know if there's gonna be any lights, because they've tore the houses down.
Right.
But we don't know if there's lights gonna be in there, then it would light up that part of the street. But right now, it's as dark as his suit.
It probably will be. I think Upper Como was looking at moving those poles closer to the street. If that happens, we can put a light on it and light the street
Oh,
up. So.
Okay. I was just curious what you was gonna do to no. Just go, okay. If you're coming down Elm Street from Main Road, go to the left side.
I might also add, yes, ma'am. I might also add that regarding Elm Street, discussion had been with some of the deeper ditch areas, like at the end across from Signature, possibly putting piping in them and covering that over, inherently to possibly widen that end of the street, and maybe the other one at Main Street as well. But those are issues that'll have to be looked into. But definitely, Elm Street's coming sooner rather than later, but it is coming. So it's been discussed. Anyone else?
Tim McPherson, 146 Cooper Road. We made it through an election cycle, guys, and some of us won, some of us lost. Congratulations to the winners, and I feel your pain for those that came out a little short. But knocking a lot of doors, talking to a lot of the citizens of Allgood, there are a lot of things we need to fix, but there are a lot of good people in this city, and
Amen to that.
yeah. Putting out signs, 1 o'clock in the morning, so that there's no traffic, and you're over on the side of the road, and got your flashers on, and people are coming over, hey, do you need any help? Need any help? 9 out of 10 people are like, hey, you need any help? People aren't just walking by. That's the citizens of Allgood are really great people. And, well, I did knock on one door. The lady answers the door, and it's like, hi, I run for city council. And she's like, all politicians are crooks, and slammed the door in my face. But that was just one time. But I know, actually, I'm not really sure if the election is over or not. I don't know. I'm sorry to bring something up, Justin, but I don't know what the status is on that. I haven't read the paper recently.
It's kind of like my baseball schedules. I put TBD down there, to be determined.
Right.
So, yeah.
But when it is finally over and everything's cleared up, the new members of the council, this point going forward, I think that the city of Allgood will be in good hands to continue to make progress. And thank you all for those that you won't be returning. Mr. Mayor, I know you, for instance. Thank you for your service. And everybody else, thank you for your service as well. And let's keep going to make things better.
Thank you, Mr. McPherson.
Thank you, Tim.
Anyone else have a question or comment? Just a really, really quick update on, man, we've been here almost an hour talking about the city's business, which is a good thing. The formed transportation committee that encompasses Putnam County, that includes the county executive, the mayors from each municipality in the county, as well as the city managers, public works directors, folks of that nature, of course, have been meeting monthly over the past 6 to 7 months to basically come up with a plan to approach TDOT with. And it's a really, really good concept in that rather than just me as the mayor of Allgood approaching TDOT and saying, hey, we need this, 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 and this around 111 and so on and so forth. With the heads of the cities and county all working together, it gives a little more bite to what we're wanting to accomplish. and a lot of things that are happening in the county affect, either directly or indirectly, each individual municipality or county residences, whatever your case may be. That having been said, we have completed a top 10 list that we would like to approach TDOT with. There is a project on that list that concerns the city of Allgood, and its traffic flow from the 111 area here on West Main, coming off 111 and proceeding on to Burton Branch, as well as on into the city of Allgood. So I just wanted to update everybody within hearing distance that that item had been discussed. It's in the top 10 list, and hopefully we may see some results from that in the coming months. Can't give you any guarantees, but just wanted to update you on that and let you know what had been happening. Any question or comment from the council? Any parting thoughts?
I just want to reiterate Tim's comment. Thank you so much for serving. It's been an honor to be on the council with you.
Well, I've got one more short hoorah next month, but and I don't mind sharing this. And sometimes it is what it is. Well, most of the time it is what it is. But I had 4 or 5 really good friends call me August 3rd that morning and said, "Man, I'm sorry. I wish we could have done this, and I wish we could have done that, and what are you going to do?" And I said, "You folks are talking to me like I've got a terminal illness." But anyway, those are things that I'll address next month. And we've got a lot of work to do between now and then. Mr. Morrison, I'm sure, will have us another full plate to talk about and look at, and we'll keep moving, because irregardless of who sits here, the city will keep moving. Any other question or comment? I'll move adjournment.